Omasyanandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupaha kada mahyam dadati swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Dalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopakanta Radhakanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Mancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namostate Vyasa Vishana Buddhe Fullaravindaya Tapatra Netre Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vaitraika Panaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita-amrita Duhe Nam. I hope all of you are doing well. We are going to start a new chapter today, chapter 5 of Bhagavad-Gita. Before we begin this chapter, let me give you some introduction about this chapter. So, this title, the chapter's title is Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. The title is very similar to the title of chapter 3, that is Karma Yoga. You find in Bhagavad-Gita that the themes discussed by Lord Krishna with Arjuna are sometimes repeated. Chapter 5 and 3 are very similar, like chapter 7 and 9 are also very similar. So you can say that in chapter 3, there is part 1 discussed, and in chapter 5, there is part 2 discussed. The topic is the same, the subject matter is the same. Now, what makes the difference is chapter 3 teaches us about Karma Yoga. Chapter 4 gives us transcendental knowledge. When you add that transcendental knowledge to chapter 3, then the resultant consciousness is described in chapter 5. Okay. So chapter 3 is talking about doing your work in a spirit of detachment as a matter of duty. Then chapter 4 gives us transcendental knowledge. So when we couple these two things together, I'm working, I'm doing my prescribed duties, and I'm also having that knowledge with me, which is given in chapter 4. Then there is a certain consciousness with which I function. And that consciousness is elaborated in chapter 5. So, chapter 5 is not so relatable. Why it is not so relatable? Because we are not at that platform. We are not functioning there. Therefore, the verses which are given in chapter 5, it will be difficult to connect to those verses. Um, we have not experienced things like that, right? It may be our aspiration, but it's not our experience. Therefore, this chapter is a little advanced. Again, the themes of the qualities of a sthita pragya, self-realized person, you'll find some things like that mentioned here. You know, so basically, this chapter also tells us how by karma yoga and by jnana yoga one can achieve the same result. So there is also that message given here. And at the end, then this chapter talks about, uh, just in short, in brief, how an Ashtanga yogi attains liberation. Then Lord Krishna will speak on this topic in detail in chapter 6. So this is how this chapter is. Very short, only 29 verses. But the verses are very lofty. We'll read through, and wherever it's required that we explain, we'll give some explanation. The first section in this chapter is Karma Yoga is equal to renouncing work, but it is easier than renouncing work. That's why Karma Yoga is more practical for people. Hmm? Okay. Uh, in simple words, if you want to translate Karma Yoga, you can translate it as the path of selfless action for the purpose of attaining the Supreme. That's Karma Yoga. Verse number 1. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha samshasi yat shreya etayor ekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Arjuna is speaking this verse. Arjuna Vacha. What does it say? Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shamsasi. Same theme is repeated in chapter 3. Arjuna began with an inquiry. Please tell me what is better, to renounce or to work in devotion. Here also something similar is asked. The word Shreya is repeated. That came in 3.2. It came in 2.7 also. And it's coming here 5.1 as well. Yat Shreya. Shreya means what is best. So Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all, you ask me to renounce work. Then again, you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?" Fine. Purport. In the fifth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. Devotional service is easier than the latter because uh, being transcendental in nature, it frees one from reaction. In the second chapter, preliminary knowledge of the soul and its entanglement in the material body were explained. How to get out of this material engagement by Buddhi Yoga or devotional service was also explained therein. In the third chapter, it was explained that a person who is situated on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. And in the fourth chapter, the Lord told Arjuna that all kinds of sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. However, at the end of the fourth chapter, the Lord advised Arjuna to wake up and fight, being situated in perfect knowledge. Therefore, by simultaneously stressing the importance of both work and devotion and inaction in knowledge, Krishna has perplexed Arjuna and confused his determination. Arjuna understands that renunciation in knowledge involves cessation of all kinds of work performed as sense activities. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? In other words, he thinks that sannyasa or renunciation in knowledge should be altogether free from all kinds of activity because work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. He appears not to have understood that work in full knowledge is non reactive and is therefore the same as inaction. He inquires, therefore, whether he should cease work altogether or work with full knowledge. I give a very simple explanation here. Like, let's say, there is a person who is interested in getting married. Fine. And then some monk comes and tells him that getting married is not good. You'll be in so much of trouble, so many anxieties you'll have to face in life. So better you remain a celibate. That person has so many questions to ask. So he inquires and he gets satisfactory answers. So the monk convinces him to not get married. Okay. Now that person is fully resolved in his mind. Yeah, I should not get married. But then after a few days, the monk tells that person, now I think you should get married. So then what will that person say? Are you crazy? Earlier, I wanted to get married. You came and you brainwashed me and you told me I should not get married. And then you convinced me I should not get married. And now you are asking me to get married? It doesn't make any sense to me, isn't it? So similarly, Arjuna is saying, first of all, you tell me that work will bind you, so much problem will be there. You should be acting in knowledge, what is wrong, what is right. You educate me like that. And then when I'm convinced that I should now become a philosopher rather than a fighter, then you're telling me, no, you should fight. Doesn't make sense to me. So uh, the point is, Arjuna is not understanding that Krishna is not wanting Arjuna to become a philosopher. Arjuna should be a fighter because that's Arjuna's nature. But Krishna wants Arjuna to understand how to fight with a proper philosophical understanding. Isn't it? So uh, that's what people in general have to also understand. Bhagavad Gita is not telling us to get away from our duties. Bhagavad Gita is just telling us that you take a break from your duties, you understand how to perform those duties better in the right consciousness, and then get back to doing your duties. That's what Gita wants people to learn. Huh? It's like, upgrading your consciousness, but doing the same thing. And that's what Krishna also wanted to make Arjuna understand that you take a break from your, you know, uh, whatever plans and, struggles and challenges and activities you engage in. And then you start looking at life from a different perspective. And then you go back to doing what you're doing. That's what Krishna wanted to teach Arjuna. But then Arjuna thought that why not just remain a philosopher? Why again become a fighter? So Krishna is saying, no, that's not good to do. You should not just be a philosopher. You have to do your duties as well. Hmm, fine. So this is Krishna's message to Arjuna, but Arjuna is getting again and again confused. So Krishna is clarifying it further more. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasah Karma Yogascha Nisheyas Kara Ubhav Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. So Krishna is telling the personality of God had replied, the renunciation of work and working devotion are both good for liberation. So both are good for liberation. One is you work in devotion, the other is you give up your work. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation. Why? Because it is something positive. Therefore, it's better. And this is what we have to all learn how to work in the spirit of devotion. Purport. Let's read the purport. Sharada Mata.
Hare Krishna. Prohibitive activities seeking sense gratification are the cause for material bondage. As long as one is engaged in activities aimed at improving the standard of bodily comfort, one is sure to transmigrate to different body types of bodies, thereby continuing material bondage perpetually. Srimad Bhagavatam confirms this as follows. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma yad indriya pritaya aprunoti nasadu manye yat atmanoyam asannapi kleshata asadehaha पराभवस्तावदबोधजातो यावन्न जिज्ञासत आत्मतत्त्वं यावत् क्रियास्तावदिदं मनो वै कर्मात्मकं येन शरीरबन्ध एवं मनः कर्मवशं प्रयुङ्क्ते अविद्ययात्मन्युपधीयमाने प्रीतिर्न यावन्मयि वासुदेवे न मुच्यते देहयोगेन तावत्. People are mad after sense gratification, and they do not know that this present body, which is full of miseries, is a result of one's fruitive activities in the past. Although this body is temporary, it is always. Therefore, to act for sense gratification is not good. One is considered to be a failure in life as long as he makes no inquiry about his real identity. As long as he does not know his real identity, he has to work for fruitive results for sense gratification. And as long as one is engrossed in the consciousness of sense gratification, one has to transmigrate from one body to another. Although the mind may be engrossed in fruitive activities and influenced by ignorance, one must develop a love for devotional service to Vasudeva. Only then can one have the opportunity to get out of the bondage of material existence. Therefore, jnana or knowledge that one is not this material body but spirit soul is not sufficient for liberation. One has to act on in the status of spirit soul. Otherwise, there is no escape from material bondage. Action in Krishna consciousness is not, however, action on the fruitive platform. Activities performed in full knowledge strengthen one's advancement in real knowledge. Without Krishna consciousness, mere renunciation of fruitive activities does not actually purify the heart of a conditioned soul. As long as the heart is not purified, one has to work on the fruitive platform. But action in Krishna consciousness automatically helps one escape the result of fruitive action so that one need not descend to the material platform. Therefore, action in Krishna consciousness is always superior to renunciation, which always entails a risk of falling. Renunciation without Krishna consciousness is incomplete, as is confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastunah mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam falku katyate. When persons eager to achieve liberation renounce things related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking them to be material, their renunciation is called incomplete. Renunciation is complete when it is in knowledge that everything in existence belongs to the Lord and that no one should claim proprietorship over anything. One should understand that factually nothing belongs to anyone. Then where is the question of renunciation? One who knows that everything is Krishna's property is always situated in renunciation. Since everything belongs to Krishna, everything should be employed in the service of Krishna. This perfect form of action in Krishna consciousness is far better than any amount of artificial renunciation by a sannyasi of the Mayavadi school. Hare Krishna.
Mataji. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gave us the difference between a Mayavadi sannyasi and a Vaishnava sannyasi. Hmm. That's what the purport focuses on, right? They both are sannyasis, but the way they approach sannyas is different. One approach is what? Nothing is mine. The other approach is what? Everything is Krishna's. Now, when you say everything is Krishna's, naturally within that, nothing is mine comes, right? Isn't it? So everything is Krishna's. And nothing is mine is a subset of that knowledge. But in case of a Mayavadi sannyasi, nothing is mine. Hmm? That the focus is more on that. That means the focus is more on negating things or on the negation, you can say. Here, the focus is more on engaging things in the right manner for Krishna's pleasure. That's the focus. Everything is Krishna's. Mm.
Prabhuji, Nishkam Karma Yoga is Krishna conscious only.
Nishkam Karma Yoga. When you say yoga, yoga means bhakti. So bhakti means Krishna consciousness. One can do Nishkam Karma without Krishna consciousness, but when you are adding bhakti to it, then it becomes Nishkama Karma Yoga.
Oh, how without bhakti one can do selfless service?
That person may be situated in knowledge of soul. Atma Gyan might be there without knowing Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are people like that who know that we are not this body and they are situated on the platform of soul, having the knowledge of soul. But still they are unaware that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay.
So such people might also be there and they might be engaging in Nishkam Karma. So everything belongs to Krishna. That thing is the main, you can say, guiding principle in the life of a devotee, especially those who are engaged in you know, mm, um, performing material duties, prescribed duties. They have to understand this principle very well. If a person's heart is not pure, we just want to discuss this a bit before we go to the next verse. If a person's heart is not pure, what will be the outcome of premature renunciation? What will happen?
They might risk falling down, Prabhuji.
Falling down.
Falling down may happen, fall down may happen. But can you explain something more about it? If the heart is not pure and if there is premature renunciation, what will happen?
He will pretend
Yeah,
to
that
be
person may
renounced on the outside.
that person may pretend. What else?
He may
Uh,
become lazy.
he will be having no
Prabhuji,
to do.
Something else.
Proper
Prabhuji,
process
again
is
he
not
will.
followed.
If you all say at the same time. Fine, Priyanka Mataji.
I'm saying, Prabhuji, proper process will not be followed and the outcome will not be correct.
Okay, yes. Abhay Prabhu.
Prabhuji, he will again do the same thing what he has renunciated.
Okay, what he has
Again,
given up,
adopt
he'll start
what he
doing
has
this.
given up, he will again adopt the same thing.
Fine. So if a person prematurely renounces, then that person has lost a shelter. That is also a very important point. If let's say you are not in the renounced order and you have a material desire, then you can fulfill that material desire. You are not refrained from fulfilling that material desire. Correct?
Prabhuji,
In that way, that person, by fulfilling that material desire in the right manner, can even purify one's material desires. So, therefore, that person is in a sheltered position. Sheltered position means that person is safe, secure. But if a person renounces, then that person doesn't have that opportunity. And if that opportunity is not there, then that person will fulfill that desire in a wrong manner, isn't it? The same desire could be fulfilled in the right manner. Now that person will fulfill the same desire in a wrong manner. and then that will lead to unnecessarily sinful act, which will contaminate the consciousness further. Therefore, one should not renounce something which is, you can say, useful. The point is, if there is something which is useful to me and I need it, and if I give it up, if I give it away or I give it up, then when I need it again, I'm in a problem. Correct? Naturally, let's say you have money and you give it away, and now you need money. So then what? Then you either beg or you borrow or you earn again, right? So only when, let's say, you will never need money in future, you can say, okay, let me empty my bank account and give away all my money. Mhm. But if you are going to need, then that's not really a good decision to make. Let me give away all my money. Similarly, if a person renounces things before he or she has used those things sufficiently to purify one's material desires, then that renunciation is not healthy renunciation, right? Therefore, the point is we should purify our desires by engaging in activities in the right manner, engaging ourselves in activities in the right manner. That's what Gita is teaching very nicely. Don't deny desires, don't kill them. You try to purify them. That's very important.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, it is also been seen that when such things happen, as you said, like if it is premature renunciation, it is quite harmful for the normal people as well, because then the exploitation, as you said, sinful activities happen. So the people who are not aware that the person in front of us is like is not properly renounced, uh, so they tend to trust such people. So that's
Yeah.
quite as well.
Yes. So it leads to cheating. It leads to, mm, you can say, um, loss of faith because trust is lost in that person and eventually also in the system. So yes, so that's not good. It leads to social, you can say, um, disarray or disharmony. Very true.
People can also take advantage, right, Prabhuji?
Sorry,
People can also take advantage of it, right?
how advantage? Like how people can take advantage.
If we don't renounce properly or if we prematurely renounce, then the opposite person can take advantage as well, right?
Can you give example how the other person can take advantage?
For example, you have just shared, if you have the money and if you give all the money to somebody before you fulfill your desire, and then you are left with nothing.
Okay,
So
so then you are in a helpless situation, and in that case, someone may come and further exploit you. That's what you're saying. Yeah, okay. Yes, possible. If you have lost your shelter, that means you're unprotected. If you're unprotected, then someone can harm us naturally in different ways. It is possible, you know. So, uh,
Hare
yeah,
Hare Krishna. One question, Prabhuji. That is for the renunciation. Is the same applicable even with the bhakti steps that we take, Prabhuji, right? A lot of times we just move kind of quickly from 4 to 8 to 12, 16, and then taking shelter, etc. Um, is that applicable, and how do we know we are ready for that bhakti step?
okay, yes. So it is applicable to anything we do in life. It's not just about renunciation. What to speak of bhakti steps, even in mundane work we do. If you take more responsibilities than you are capable of handling, then you become stressed. And it happens very often with people, isn't it? There are so many people in this world who do complain about getting loaded with work and they are not able to handle their work. It happens, doesn't it happen? You are working in a company and then your boss wants to just load you with more and more responsibilities, and you keep on saying yes and yes and yes just because you are going to get better salary or promotion. Even that is wrong. So, more than what you can handle in any way, whether it is eating food, whether it is socialization, whether it is, your work, that the work demands of the work, that's all not healthy.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I have a question if I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I mean, a human mind has so many desires. One is completed, so there is multiple desire which is unfulfilled. So how can we ascertain that the thing which we desire is completely explored or it is completely done? And then how can we determine that now we can give it up? How do we
Okay.
ascertain that?
Good question. So when that desire was fulfilled in dharmic manner, then that fulfillment will itself produce a seed of renunciation. And when it is not fulfilled in a dharmic manner, then it will produce some other seeds. It's like that. So when it is done
Right,
in the
Prabhuji.
righteous manner, it will naturally produce a seed of renunciation.
Correct, Prabhuji.
But if it's
Absolutely
not
correct.
in a proper manner, then it will not produce that seed. Therefore, there is renunciation hidden in the work itself if you do it properly.
Correct, Prabhuji.
But if you don't do it properly, because you're not fulfilled, so then you want to do it again. You want to do it
Right,
again,
right.
because you have not experienced that completeness yet, you know, isn't it? Therefore,
True,
that
Prabhuji.
art has to be learned. That art has to be learned. If that art is learned from Bhagavad-Gita, then when you do something you have done and then you move on, and then you don't look back, isn't it? But then if you have not, if that uh, if that feeling of incompleteness is there, then you want to go back, you want to try it again, isn't it?
Prabhuji, does that happen because we take decisions emotionally?
Yes, it happens because we don't take decisions based on knowledge. We take decisions based on temptations. What what attracts us, what entices us, you know. So that's why we are taking decisions rather than making a decision based on knowledge. Why I should be doing it after all? Is same as what I should eat. Should I eat something which is enticing to me, or I should eat something which is healthy for me? If I go for eating something which is just tempting, then that may spoil my health also, isn't it? Correct. So we make wrong decisions, and our making wrong decisions is based on our having wrong desires. And we have wrong desires because we are wrongly fed with wrong knowledge. So because I have wrong knowledge, I have wrong desires, and that wrong desires make me take wrong decisions. Because of wrong decisions, I do wrong things that produces wrong results, and that leads to suffering.
Mm. Doesn't a person given chance, if a person has wrong desires, then always Paramatma should be giving chance to move to the right one.
Paramatma is always giving chance, but sometimes our mind is so adamant that it doesn't listen to the Paramatma's voice, and we keep on doing the wrong things again and again. Therefore, first of all, we need to have proper knowledge.
Okay, so how do we measure that we are doing wrong and right in life?
Scriptures are there to guide us. Very clearly, the scriptures tell what is wrong, what is right.
But like we don't know scriptures in one go, na?
Yeah, therefore, we have to study the scriptures.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I had one question. Prabhu, like you said, purifying the material desire, like what exactly does it mean? In the sense, like I fulfill the desire and then I bring Lord nature. Like, I mean, I didn't understand that statement. I mean, purifying the material desire.
Purifying the material desire means that because you have that desire, and then you also use that desire in some way to serve the Supreme Lord, then that desire is purified because it was not used just for your own personal sense gratification.
Yeah.
You know, like to give an example, let's say I have a desire to make a lot of money. But then after I make a lot of money, if I use all that money to make a very beautiful temple for Lord Krishna, I have purified that desire of earning money
Yeah.
because I fulfilled my desire. I made a lot of money, but at the same time, I use the money for what? You know, for the right
To please the Lord.
for the right purpose. Because actually, that money belongs to whom? It belongs to Krishna only. He is Lakshmipati, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, let's say if I earn that money and I just use it for my personal gratification, then that money itself becomes a cause of big anxiety for me in life
Yeah.
because I have not properly used that money. Whatever we have, when we don't use it properly, that thing itself becomes a cause of trouble for us.
Okay.
So using it properly means using it for Krishna. Now, why using it for Krishna? Why we have to bring Krishna in everything in everywhere? Because honestly, everything does belong to him. There is there's no doubt in that. No second opinion or second thought in that. Everything belongs to Krishna. That's the reality. That's the truth. In Ishopanishad we study Ishavasya Idam Sarvam. Everything belongs to Krishna.
Mm.
Everything. So when because everything belongs to him, only when everything is used for him, it is being done in a pure manner. When it is not used for him but something else, then that thing has been used for a wrong thing or in impure manner. And then it will lead to trouble. It will lead to problem. Like to give you a simple example, Bhumi Devi, she is a wife of, we know from Puranas, Bhumi Devi is the wife of the Supreme Lord. We know that very well, isn't it? Correct? Huh?
Yes.
Correct. So if let's say a woman produces a child, that child will be considered the son of or the daughter of that woman as well as her husband. Correct, isn't it? Hmm. So
Yes.
uh, if a third person comes and takes away that child, you'll call it kidnapping, right or no? Hmm? From the custody of the mother and the father, if that person, third person comes and takes away the child, it's called kidnapping, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Mm.
Bhumi is Krishna's wife, and Bhumi is producing so many mangoes and apples and bananas and oranges, coconuts, grains, and all that. So then, whom does all that belong to? The husband?
Y-
Krishna?
Yes.
right? And then what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? If you eat without offering to me, you are a thief. So where is he wrong?
Okay.
Where is he wrong? It's not wrong, right? Isn't it? So in that way, if you think actually everything belongs to him and we are supposed to use everything for him. So when we do that, then it's purified. And when it's purified, then you are actually done with that thing. Otherwise, you have to come back again and again.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I have one more question if you allow me.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, since we all have expenses, right? What will be an ideal ratio uh, to keep as a part of donation? Because everything, you say everything belongs to Krishna. That is absolutely correct. But then we have a lot of expenses. So how do we allocate that? Any formula for
This
this?
topic we will be discussing later also, but anyway, because you asked. So how we should decide how much we should donate? First of all, this question will have a different answer based on who you are. In the sense, if you are a proper devotee, then the expenses that you make should also be properly executed, isn't it? A devotee means even if you are making expenses, those expenses are not unnecessary expenses. Those are reasonable expenses, right? Reasonable in the sense, okay, you need a place to live, so you have to pay the rent. You know, you have to wear clothes, so you have to buy them, correct? You have kids, so you have to educate them. You have to eat, so you have to buy grocery, food, and all that. So this is reasonable expectation, something we need, isn't it? So first of all, when we are practicing devotees, we have to cut down on unnecessary expenses. That's the first thing. Unnecessary expense means if I already have a car and we are okay with it, so I should not unnecessarily waste money to buy another car. You know, some you're understanding. I'm just giving an
Yes,
example.
yes.
I already have a good phone. So just because iPhone 17 or 18 has come, I don't have to buy a new phone. No. So when we have to cut down our expenses, that means even if you are spending money, you should be spending money in a dharmic manner. Okay. Now, when you have done that, let's say, that means whatever you are spending is good, is proper, is reasonable. You have not misused the money. Fine. So that is allowed. No problem with that. That's okay. After I've spent that money, then definitely I must be having some saving because I'm not misusing money. I must be saving something. Maybe just 10% of my total salary I'm saving, or 20% or 25%. I'm saving something. So this 20% which is left with you, from that you decide the portion that you want to donate. Hmm? For someone, it may be 50%. Like Prabhupada said, some people give 50%. It's possible. Some people may decide, okay, 50% I give, and I give 50% for my future. Hmm. Someone may decide 20%, some may decide 10%. That's up to you. But you decide an amount from there which you want to donate or which you should be donating. And the remaining also is not kept for misuse. It is just kept for future emergency use. So that's how when we use money, then that money is properly utilized. But if we misuse money, then again there's going to be a reaction for that.
Thank you,
Krishna
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Ravi.
So what about the money which is to be given for the admission in the higher classes in a good institution? Because the course which is available in the other institution also, and the two types of institutions, one is charging less, another is charging more. But
Yeah,
which is money?
that's a worldly thing. Sometimes you may have to do that. It's okay.
Necessity and luxury, two things are
Well,
there.
it's okay if that institute, studying in that institute promises you a better job opportunity, then that you can see that as an investment.
Blind, you mean that blind run should not be there?
Yeah, of course. If it's an investment, it is fine. We all have to also cope up with the struggles in life. So if you have a particular struggle and you want to succeed in a particular way, you may have to invest sometimes more. It's just like, I can be happy eating in a steel plate, but if I have money, I may buy a silver plate. And if I have more money, I may buy a golden plate. Correct. So that's the thing is it depends on you. You want, if you see that as an investment. But if someone is saying, well, I just want to study in that university because I'm going to get a hostel which is like a five-star hotel, then of course you're misusing the money.
It means necessity depends on the person, or and you can say differs from person to person.
Person to person and purpose also.
Right, right. And
And
one doesn't know
it's an individual call, basically.
it's an individual call.
An
And
individual call.
sometimes it happens that one doesn't, one is not able to recognize and to know when the necessity has been converted into luxury. It happens
Hmm?
so that it is one is not able to understand when this necessity has become a luxury.
When necessity.
This necessity, which I was thinking is the necessity, has now become a luxury for me.
Yeah, when you
It
see
happens
that it
so.
is becoming a luxury and you don't need it anymore, therefore, in the scripture, we also have a uh, rule or principle that you give away things.
Gives everything, sir.
When you don't need it anymore, you give away. That is also there. You don't have to just keep things with you, right?
In the middle, it is very difficult. Sometimes it becomes very difficult. In the middle, you can't give it away. You have to continue that. For example, someone has taken admission somewhere in USA, and after some time, you realize that it was just for the luxury sake or just for the uh, self enjoyment. He has taken admission there.
What to do? Sometimes you are in a trap,
Uh,
you can't come out of it, then you have to hear the entire consequence. Um, so okay, let's go to the next verse then. Text 3. ज्ञेयः सन् नित्यसन्न्यासी यो न द्वेष्टि न काङ्क्षति निर्द्वन्द्वो हि महाबाहो सुखं बन्धात् प्रमुच्यते. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. So who is renounced? Renounced is someone who neither desires the result nor hates the result. Such a person free from all dualities easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty Arjuna. So that person is not hating results, good results, and that person is also not desiring good results. The same thing with bad results. That person doesn't hate bad results, and that person desire bad results. So the focus is different. The focus is more on doing what one is supposed to do rather than what I'm going to get out of it, you know. And this is a very difficult concept to understand because there are people in this world, they are more interested in getting things out of what they are doing more than what they are doing, you know. And, if they can get it without doing anything, they'll be the most happy people in the world. There are people like this in this world. You must have come across such people in your professional life, isn't it? If you can just give them salary without they doing anything, they'll be the most happy people in the world because they are more interested in just getting things out of what they're doing rather than, I should be doing it as a means of my, service to people around me or to the society or to the nation, or this is my duty. And no, or this is what I like to do. They just want something out of it. And at present, sorry to say, the modern youth is mostly geared up in this mentality. They
Prabhu,
work just they work just because they are interested in the money, the salary, not because they like to do what they are doing or they want to do something for society. you know. Therefore, you ask them which education stream you want to go for. What is trending in the market?
Yeah.
What gives you maximum salary? If to become a doctor gives you maximum salary, you'll become a doctor. Otherwise, MBA is also not a bad option. And if computer engineers they are earning the most, let me go for computer engineering. Mm. So this is how the present day youth makes decision, you know, isn't it? So their whole mentality is what? Result oriented. That's what they're interested in. By hook or crook, I should get the result. They cannot understand what Krishna is explaining here in Bhagavad-Gita to Arjuna. It's not going to be possible for them to understand. Why? Because the way they think and the way they define success is completely different, completely opposite. It's more result oriented, right? Rather than duty oriented approach or service oriented approach. Mm. So work in a company for 6 months, 1 year, then go to another company because it's giving you 20,000 more, then go into another company because it's giving you 50,000 more. Mm. So that's all that they're interested in, right? And uh, but what Krishna is explaining here is something different. He's explaining that that person should be more interested in doing the thing what he or she is doing, and that consciousness only comes if one is working in righteous manner, in dharma, in dharmic way. Then one can develop that consciousness. I do what I'm supposed to do without even desiring the result. Isn't it? Otherwise, that consciousness doesn't come. It's very difficult to get that consciousness. One cannot artificially feed that consciousness in oneself. One cannot start thinking like that artificially. Mhm. But when one does things in a dharmic manner, then one can think like this. Neither hate or desire the results of his activities. So such a person is always renounced. That consciousness makes that person always in renunciation mode. And then therefore that person easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. Read the purport. Abhesina Prabhuji, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanwad Pranam. One who is fully in Krishna consciousness is always a renouncer because he feels neither hatred nor desire for the results of his actions. Such a renouncer, dedicated to the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is fully satisfied in knowledge because he knows his constitutional position in his relationship with Krishna. He knows fully well that Krishna is the whole and that he is part and parcel of Krishna. Such knowledge is perfect because it is qualitatively and quantitatively correct. The concept of oneness with Krishna is incorrect because the part cannot be equal to the whole. Knowledge that one is one in quality yet different in quantity is correct transcendental knowledge, leading one to become full in himself. have nothing to aspire to or lament over. There is no duality in his mind because whatever he does for Krishna. Because thus freed from the platform of dualities, he is liberated even in this material world. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, can I ask now?
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting in between. You are rightly saying that today youth mentality is only just do the means this what result oriented only. But if you say, isn't it the mistake of the companies also to make them like that? Because companies wants the target and then they said these things you will get promotion. Means they want the person to work day and night. They want 15 hours work. If they are paying you 20 lakhs, 15 hours work. So isn't it the mistake of the system also?
It goes both ways. Whatever is the demand of the society, that's how you also find a provider in the society. So it is both ways. We should know one thing that uh, the people who are giants in, making money, the professional giants, they also understand the psychology of the common mass, and accordingly they tempt them or allure them. So it's not just that, it is a problem with the youth, as you are saying. Definitely, it's also a problem with the system. But why the system is like that? Because the youth are also uneducated. They are also uneducated. So there is a trap, and they are falling in the trap. If you like, you can come out of the trap, or you can decide to not fall in the trap. So that's what there is. There is wrong knowledge being fed into people, that's going on, and then there is right knowledge which is also being provided. Now we have to choose, where do we want to go. Should we understand from Bhagavad-Gita about the principles of life, or should we understand from the common society? So that choice everyone has, isn't it? Individually we have that choice. Now we have to decide, where do we want to go. That is it.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
Prabhuji, what is this knowledge that one is one in quality yet different in quantity is correct transcendental knowledge leading one to become full in himself.
Which means that this is something we have discussed so many times. We are qualitatively one with Krishna, but not in quantity. As spirit soul, I have the qualities of Krishna, but I am not as great as Krishna.
Thank you,
So if I
Prabhuji.
understand that I'm qualitatively equal to same as Krishna, then I'll not have material desires, because Krishna also doesn't have material desires. Why do we have material desires? Because we have wrong identification. As long as that wrong identification is there, we'll have material desires. And as long as material desires are there, there'll always be a struggle in this world to fulfill those material desires.
Thank you,
Isn't it?
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So when that identity is corrected, then you don't have material desires. And if you don't have material desires, you don't struggle to fulfill them. Okay, text 4. Sankhya yoga prithak balaha pravadanti na panditaha ekamapyasthita samyak uphayorvindate phalam Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the result of both. Yes, if you apply properly to either of the path, whether it is Sankhya yoga or karma yoga, we get the same result. Hmm. Let's read the purport. Hari Kripa Prabhu.
Purport. The aim of the analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of the material world is Vishnu, or the super soul. Devotional service to the Lord entails service to the super soul. One process is to find the root of the tree, and the other is to water the root. The real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of the material world, Vishnu, and then the perfect knowledge, engages himself in the service of the Lord. Therefore, in essence, there is no difference between the two because aim of the both is Vishnu. Those who do not know the ultimate end say that the purposes of Sankhya and the Karma Yoga are not the same. But one who is learned knows the unifying aim in these different processes. Hare Krishna. Bhava.
Yes. So the purpose is purification. That's the main purpose of both the processes, whether you're engaging in work or you are not engaging in work. Uh, hmm, the difference between Sankhya and Karma Yoga can also be seen from this table. Sankhya Yoga, the aim is to find the soul of existence, which is Super Soul. The purpose of Karma Yoga is you render service to the Super Soul. It's like finding the root and watering the root. What is more important? Watering the root is more important. Just finding the root will not help. Hmm? Right, isn't it? So Sankhya Yoga is all about coming to conclusion that yes, Krishna or God or Super Soul is the origin of everything. But Karma Yoga goes a step further. How to serve that origin, satisfy that origin. Focus in Sankhya Yoga is material detachment. In Karma Yoga, it is spiritual attachment. So by nature, Sankhya is difficult, Karma Yoga is easy. Hmm. That's the whole process of bhakti also. Text 5. Yat Sankhya prapyate sthanam tad yogeraphi gamyate ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sapashyati. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. Arati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The real purpose of philosophical research is to find the ultimate goal of life. Since the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, there is no difference between the conclusions reached by the two processes. By Sankhya philosophical research, one comes to the conclusion that a living entity is not a part and parcel of the material world, but of the Supreme Spirit whole. Consequently, the spirit soul has nothing to do with the material world. His actions must be in some relation with the Supreme. When he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is actually in his constitutional position. In the first process, Sankhya, one has to become detached from matter. And in the devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself to the work of Krishna consciousness. Factually, both processes are the same. Although superficially, one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can see this sees things as they are. Thank you.
Krishna is teaching Arjuna the the signs of developing the right perception of things. Uh, okay, next verse 6. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptum yogatah yoga-yukto mune brahma na chirena adhikachati. Merely renouncing all activities, not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. That's again very true. So if you just renounce, but you don't engage in devotional service, that's also not going to make us happy. Happiness will only come by giving happiness or trying to give happiness to Krishna. Then we can be happy. So that effort makes us, happy. So, but a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Yes, let's read the purport. Tulasi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu pranams. There are two classes of sannyasis or persons in renounced order of life. The Mayavadi sannyasi are engaged in the study of Shankya philosophy, whereas the Vaishnava sannyasi are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam philosophy, which affords the proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Mayavadi sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutras, but use their own commentary called Shari, Shariraka Bhashya, written by Shankaracharya. The students of the Bhagavad school are engaged in devotional service of the Lord according to Pancharatrika regulations, and therefore the Vaishnava sannyasis have multiple engagements in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasi have nothing to do with material activities, and yet they perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. But the Mayavadi sannyasis engage in studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation, cannot relish transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious, they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculations and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Mayavadi sannyasi. The Vaishnava sannyasi, who are engaged in devotional service, are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into material activities of a philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna-conscious activities are better situated than the sannyasis engaged in simple speculation about what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So any questions from what we discussed in these verses 1 to 6? No? Okay.
Prabhuji, it's not a question, but I don't think I'm completely clear on the difference between Sankhya philosophy and the karma, like the table that you had explained and the next purport, right? I'm slightly confused. With
You ask
Sankhya,
a
it's saying it's finding of the soul and the existence, and then here we are saying rendering service. Um,
So that's the difference. Sankhya means you just find out that the Lord or the Super Soul is the origin of everything. But you stop there. And in Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, you understand that if he is the origin, let me serve him. Let me make him satisfied.
So, why are we using karma and bhakti yoga interchangeably, Prabhuji? Because normally karma is below and bhakti is above, right? But here we're using that word interchangeably. How is that so?
It is used interchangeably because we want to simplify things for people. In bhakti, what makes karma yoga different from bhakti yoga? The knowledge about Supreme Bhagavan. Fine. If I don't have this knowledge of who Supreme Bhagavan is, then I just know that there is a God and I have some duties to perform and I should just selflessly engage in my duties. Then I'm engaging in karma yoga. But when I have knowledge about Bhagavan, then that same activity becomes bhakti. No. So why Prabhupada is using these words interchangeably? Because in his explanations on Bhagavad-Gita, right from the very first page, Prabhupada has made it very clear to people that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore uh, he is teaching people in all the verses, whether those verses are about karma yoga or those verses are about jnana yoga, bhakti yoga. Something which a person would come to know quite later. Srila Prabhupada has given that thing right in the very beginning.
So, Prabhuji, you mean to say worshipping demigod and doing work selflessly is also bhakti yoga?
Did I say like that?
No, but you said no. I asked initially, how can someone practice selflessly
You,
if
then I said that is Nishkama Karma. I didn't say it's Nishkama Karma Yoga. You should hear attentively.
okay, okay, yeah,
Every single word makes difference. So if you're
okay,
not using the word yoga, then it is only Nishkama Karma, right?
okay, okay.
When you use the word yoga, then it's different. Yoga means to connect, to unite with the Supreme.
Mm. Prabhuji, does Sankhya philosophy means Mayavadi philosophy?
Sankhya philosophy doesn't mean Mayavad philosophy. Again, that is a philosophy which Mayavadis may use, but that philosophy is not Mayavad philosophy. No, that is a
What?
philosophy they may use, but it's not Mayavad. For example, if I'm using Sankhya to identify Krishna as Bhagavan, how does that become Mayavad philosophy? Even in Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila is teaching Sankhya. That's the real Sankhya taught by Lord Kapila in Srimad Bhagavatam. He is not teaching Mayavad philosophy,
Okay, Prabhuji.
right? So we should not, what do you call? Um, we should not attribute meanings to something which is not there. When we read it, we should clearly understand everything very distinctly. What is Sankhya? Please try to understand the meaning of Sankhya. What is Mayavad? Try to understand that. It's not that Sankhya philosophy is Mayavad philosophy. Sankhya philosophy may be presented by a Mayavadi in a certain way. But even Vaishnavas also have Sankhya. That is Kapila Sankhya given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Mm. But the point which Prabhupada is making here is very clear. He's saying you have found the root, but if you just find the root and you don't water the root, you have not completed the business. So if I know Krishna is Bhagavan, good. But if I don't serve Bhagavan Krishna, then I have not completed the process. Just to know is not enough, isn't it? There are so many people in this world, particularly talking of the Hindus, They know we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. They know it. Atma. They know there's something called Atma. But then are they doing something to satisfy that Atma? Everything they're doing is just to satisfy the body and mind, right? Nothing to satisfy the Atma. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. Finding the root is one thing, second thing is watering the root. And that is the process of karma yoga or nishkama karma yoga or bhakti yoga. Sankhya yoga or Jnana yoga can help us find the root. But these three other processes, they help us water the root. Verse 7. So now Nishkam Karma Yoga is again explained in detail in these verses. Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriyaham Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvannapi Nalipyate. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone. One who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone because that person will not unnecessarily agitate anyone or harm anyone or disrespect anyone. And everyone is dear to him. And though always working, such a man is never entangled. So here are some of the characteristics of a Nishkam Karma Yogi. Purport. Hmm. What are its difficult? Priyanka Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Purport. The one who is on the path of liberation by Krishna consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is due to his Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, just as the leaves and branches of a tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches, or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna, nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matters other than the service of the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. And he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. Or one may ask, why then was Arjuna offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? Arjuna was only superficially offensive because, as has already been explained in the second chapter, all the assembled person on the battlefield would continue to live individually, as the soul cannot be a slain. So spiritually, no one was killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only their dresses were changed by the order of Krishna, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in the reactions of work. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So here, you see, Krishna is talking about Nishkama Karma Yoga. So engaging in Nishkama Karma Yoga gives us certain kind of results. What is Srila Prabhupada trying to do in the purport? He is telling his readers how the same results can also be achieved by someone practicing bhakti or devotional service. Okay, that's what he's explaining. How the same result can be achieved by someone practicing bhakti. Same thing, So because he has done it, he has realized it, he is able to explain it, that this is how you can achieve the same result, the same consciousness. Okay? Three things were mentioned here. First is, such a person is Vishuddhatma, which means pure in consciousness. And because that person is pure in consciousness, therefore the mind of that person is controlled. Vijitatma. Vijita Atma. He has controlled his mind. And because the mind is in control, that person's senses are also in control. Chitendriya. So this teaches us something very interesting. If we want to control our senses, we have to control our mind. And if we want to control our mind, we have to purify our consciousness. Without purifying the consciousness, the mind cannot be controlled. And pure consciousness means Krishna consciousness. So when we become properly Krishna conscious, then we are pure in our mind, in our senses. Otherwise, we cannot be. Impurity will be there. Some kind of impurity will be there. Next verse, 8 and 9. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavid pashyan shrinvan sprishan jikran nashnan gachan swapan shwasan pralapan visrijan grihnan unmishan nimishan nabi indriyani indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving, about sleeping and breathing, um, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. So when a person engages in Nishkam Karma Yoga, then his consciousness functions like this. Verse 7 gave us some characteristics. Verse 8 and 9 are elaborating further. That person in that consciousness, he is very much aware that the activities that are engaged by my body and my mind are not my activities. They are activities engaged by material nature. Why? Because of engaging in Nishkam Karma Yoga, that person is able to tell the difference between the body and soul. I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. So that person sees himself or herself separate from the body and therefore the bodily activities. You know. So when we are in bodily consciousness, who is eating? I am eating. Who is sleeping? I am sleeping. Isn't it? Who is enjoying? I am enjoying. Who is suffering? I am suffering. But then when you are not in bodily consciousness, who is eating? The body is eating. Who is sleeping? The body is sleeping. Because you see the difference, right? You see the difference. But when one is in bodily consciousness, one doesn't see that difference. And when by performing Nishkam Karma Yoga, one comes to that consciousness that one can see the difference. Who is sick? My body is sick, not me. You know, right? Like that. But when we are in bodily consciousness, that I is it refers to the body because of my identification with the body. So as I said earlier, in this chapter, the verses that we are discussing, it's not relatable. We cannot relate to them because we are not there. Hmm. We cannot experience that. But someone practicing Nishkam Karma Yoga successfully, after some time, can experience these things. That I'm aloof from the body. It's just like, you are now living in a room. So you know that room is different from you, isn't it? Right? Hmm? If there's going to be a blast in that room, you can escape from that room. You will be sorry that the room got blasted, but you'll be relieved that you didn't die. Isn't it? That means you are different from the room. But when one is in bodily consciousness, what happens? When the body is dead, the person thinks, I am dead. But you are not dead. The body is dead. Hmm. Correct? And when one is in not in bodily consciousness, what is dead? The body is dead, not me. Hmm. I am not dead, isn't it? So then that person will be neither happy nor sad if anything happens to the body. That person will be detached, because that identification is not there. So here this is explained. That person sees the material nature acting, not he or she acting. Purport, Sankarshan Vishnu Prabhuji.
A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence, and consequently he has nothing to do with work, with any work which depends upon five immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and fortune. This is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification, but in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna senses. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in affairs of the senses. Activities such as seeing and hearing are actions of the senses meant for receiving knowledge, whereas moving, speaking, evacuating, etc., are actions of the are actions of the senses meant for work. A Krishna conscious person is never affected by the action of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So I can tell you one story, one incident, actually, real incident, how a person can be at that level of consciousness. So there was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. We can say was or is based on how we look at it. He left his body in 1996. Sri Srimad Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj, a very advanced spiritualist, Vaishnava. So there was a phase in his life where, you know, he completely went out of bodily consciousness, and he was, you can say, unconscious for many days, not eating, not doing anything, just, just, you can say, uh, completely lost to external world. And after many days, when he came back to consciousness, he he was he was telling that I'm back again in this body. I had left it and gone away from it. You know. So then he was able to see that I am different from this body. I'm not the same. He was able to experience that disconnection between this apparatus and my identity. Mm, Fine. So that happens when you practice Krishna consciousness and you become purified, then that experience will also be our experience. And that is the goal of practicing Krishna consciousness, not what we are experiencing now. That's not the goal. Mm. What we are experiencing is not Krishna consciousness. isn't it? So if we think, oh, Krishna consciousness is not that interesting or you can say exciting, no wonder, because we are not actually experiencing Krishna consciousness. But if we actually experience Krishna consciousness, it's going to be very exciting, very interesting. Mhm. That this body is only a machine and you are not this body. You are inside this machine. You're something else. So that person can see like that, experience like that. Text and Brahmanya आधाय कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन पद्मपत्रम् इवाम्बसा. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So that person's life becomes something like this, untouched by um, sin, just like the lotus is untouched by mud or water, though living in the water, surrounded by the water. That person, though surrounded by material elements and material environment, that person is not affected by it. Aladini Gopi Mata.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dharma Pranam. The Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. The material world is a sum total manifestation of three modes of material nature, technically called the Pradhana. The Vedic hymn Sarvam Hitad Brahma, Manduka Upanishad 2. Tasmadita Brahma Nama Rupam Anam Ch Jayate. Manduka Upanishad 1.2.10. And in the Bhagavad-Gita 14.3, Mama Yonir Mahat Brahma indicates that everything in this material world is a manifestation of Brahman, and although the effects are differently manifested, they are non-different from the cause. In the Ishopanishads, they said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman or Krishna, as everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Krishna, that he is the proprietor of everything and that, therefore, everything is engaged in the service of the Lord, naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even one's material body, being a gift to the Lord for carrying out a particular type of action, can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. It is then beyond contamination by sinful reaction, exactly as a lotus leaf, though remaining in the water, is not wet. The Lord always says in the Gita 3.30, Mai Sarvani Karmani Sannyasa. Resign all the work unto me, Krishna. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses. But a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. So, at many places, Srila Prabhupada, he just simplifies the whole concept for us, the technicalities mm, of the message given in Bhagavad Gita, because because we are not of that caliber to understand exactly what Krishna is talking here to Arjuna. Uh, Therefore, he simplifies, okay, you do this much, and that's all is required for you. You get the same results. Hmm? We should know one thing, that in different eras, people they have different knowledge base and they have different understanding of language. How people communicated to each other 200 years ago is not the same how people are communicating at present, and how people will be communicating after 500 years. It's going to be again different, from what it is now. At the same time, also, what used to be something commonly known to people 200 years ago might be not known to people at all at present times, isn't it? So therefore, some of the terms that Krishna uses while explaining the concept to Arjuna is very easily understood by Arjuna. But for us, it's like a foreign language. We don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to us, isn't it? So therefore, what does Srila Prabhupada do? Instead of going into the details, sometimes he just simplifies. Okay, for you, that much is not required to be known. You only need to understand this much. That's sufficient for you. He does that to help us, get the essence rather than going into the detail of the message. Next verse, 11. Kayena manasa buddhaya केवलैर् इन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्तात्मशुद्धये. The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. So why they act? They act only for the purpose of purification. This is a very simple principle that we can apply in our life. Why do anything? First is, I do anything because I want to enjoy life. The second step is, why do anything? I want to do everything because I want to purify my existence. And the third step is what? Why do everything? I want to do everything because I want to please Krishna. So if I cannot act on the platform of I want to please Krishna, I can act on the lower platform. And what is that? I want to purify my existence. Purifying my existence means I want to purify my desires, my thoughts, my inclinations, my life, my body, my mind. I want to become pure. I want to get rid of my impurities, my weaknesses, my contaminations, you can say my badness. If badness is a word, I don't know. Just like there's goodness inside a person, there's badness also. So to get rid of my badness, that's purifying myself. So that's what the yogi strive for. So why go to a job? Why work? Why be a businessman? Why be a farmer? Why be an engineer? Why be a mother? Why be a father? Why be a teacher? Why be a politician? Why be the prime minister of the country? Why be a street sweeper? Why be a social welfare worker? Why be a student of Bhagavad-Gita? The answer is only one for such a person. What is that? I want to purify myself. I want to purify my existence. That's the answer for a yogi. For a materialistic person, there's only one answer to all these questions. And what is that? What is that?
I want to enjoy.
I want to enjoy. Why be a businessman? To enjoy life. Why be the prime minister? To enjoy life. Why study Gita? To enjoy life. Why go to temple? To enjoy life. Isn't it? So that's what a materialistic person does. So for a materialistic person, even spirituality is a type of entertainment or enjoyment. Right? For a materialistic person, even all that is a kind of enjoyment. For a person who is interested in yoga, everything is for purification, for purifying my existence. And everything for a devotee is for the purpose of
Giving joy to
pleasure of Krishna.
giving joy to Krishna.
pleasure to support. Okay. Let's read the purport here. Chanakya.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. When one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of Krishna, any action, whether of the body, mind, intelligence, or even the senses, is purified of material contamination. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of a Krishna conscious person. Therefore, purified activities, which are generally called sad achara, can be easily performed by acting in Krishna consciousness. Sri Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.187 describes this as follows. Ihayasya hare dasye karmana manasa gira nikilasvapi avastasu jivan muktah sauchyate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so called material activities. He has no false ego, for he does not believe that he is this material body or that he possesses the body. He knows that he is not this body and that this body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna and the body too belongs to Krishna. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind, and intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possession, to Krishna's service, he is at once dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of the false ego that leads one to believe that he is the body, etc. This is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Next, yuktah karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti neshtikim ayukta kama karena phale sakto nibadhyate. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Where the person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. So this is again repeated, one who is greedy for the fruits of his labor becomes entangled, and one who is not in union with the divine. That's the point. If someone is interested in liberation or getting out of material entanglement, that person has to learn this art of what? Not desiring the fruits for oneself. As long as that is there, it's going to be very difficult for us to become liberated from material life. And if we don't become liberated from material life, then again take birth, again grow, again struggle, again die. That cycle will continue again and again. Isn't it? So it's going to happen again and again. Means the same struggles we face again and again. It, to some crazy person, it may sound very exciting. What's wrong to take birth again? But for a person who's a little sane, it's not at all exciting. It's not at all exciting, isn't it? Like for you, if you're told, go back to the school and then start studying again A to Z, which you already know, to say, come on, it's not exciting at all. Something like that. Do the same thing again and again. So for those who are interested in liberation from material life, they have to learn this principle very well, that I should not be greedy for the fruits of my own efforts or my work. That should not be there. As long as I remain attached to it, to remain entangled. I'll not become liberated. I'll not become free. Purport. Yeah, Mataji. Let's just read these two verses and then we'll take questions. Yes, Neha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. The difference between a person in Krishna consciousness and a person in bodily consciousness is that the former is attached to Krishna, whereas the latter is attached to the results of his activities. The person who is attached to Krishna and works for him only is certainly a liberated person, and he has no anxiety over the results of his work. In the Bhagavatam, the cause of anxiety over the result of an activity is explained as being one's functioning in the conception of duality, that is, without knowledge of the absolute truth. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. In Krishna consciousness, there is no duality. All that exists is a product of Krishna's energy, and Krishna is all good. Therefore, activities in Krishna consciousness are on the absolute plane. They are transcendental and have no material effect. One is therefore filled with peace in Krishna consciousness, but one who is entangled in profit calculation for sense gratification cannot have that peace. This is the secret of Krishna consciousness. Realization that there is no existence besides Krishna is the platform of peace and fearlessness. Hare Krishna.
Next verse. Sarva karmani manasa. Okay, before we cite this verse marks the beginning of another new section in the chapter. Verses 13 to 16, they talk about doers. I mean, because Krishna said in verse 12, one who doesn't think himself as a doer. So now he's going to explain what is meant by doer and who all are the doers. Very important to understand. As long as I think I am the only doer, I'm definitely going to be attached to the results of what I do because I just see myself as the person putting the efforts, and therefore I should also be the one enjoying the result. This is very simple, I again a simple example to explain it. Let's say there are 5 people working for a project, and all 5 of them are very much aware of the hard work and endeavor that each one of them has put into the project. So if the project becomes successful and there is some reward uh, obtained at the end of completing the project, their moral sense will tell them that you can't just enjoy that reward alone. You'll have to share that reward, right? Isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. And not only your moral sense will tell you that you have to share the reward. If you start thinking that you are the only person who did everything, uh, you'll be in a big time illusion because you're not done everything. There are people who supported you, and that's why you could get that thing achieved or getting that thing done. So if you accept that reality, you're not in illusion, you don't have unreasonable expectations, you are not greedy, you share the results with others, and you also learn to live in harmony with everyone. And you don't bask in the false pride that I did everything, I should get the entire glory or the credit. Isn't it? Similarly, when people in this world who are in conditioned state, they think that they are the only doer, what happens is they fall in the illusion that they should alone enjoy the result. The result belongs just to them. Therefore, they are the sole enjoyer of everything, you know. But when I understand, I did not do everything on my own. Without the help of Krishna, how could I do? So then me going and offering something back to Krishna is not just some gratitude. I know that's what I am supposed to do, even morally or ethically, because after all, without Krishna's help, I could not have achieved anything. It's not possible. Hmm? Isn't it? So then you understand the whole picture that because I am not the only person who is doing, why should I alone get all the result? I should not, right? Mm, um, okay, let's say I get a job, and after I started earning my money, I use some of that money for my personal expenses. But I also share that money with my parents, right? Isn't it correct? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
And then if you are not married, maybe that money is just for you. But after you get married, then you also share that money with your wife or your husband. Why? Why?
Ideally,
Because
what
we
you
are
And
supporting.
Prabhuji, you are sharing the responsibilities.
Yeah, because if I'm doing my job and I'm earning this money, I could have never done it without my parents. They educated me, they provided me. I'm here all because of them. So now it's my duty also to share with them, isn't it?
Right.
Same thing you think about your life partner, that she's supporting you or he's supporting, you know. her, and that's why we should also share our income or our profits. It's natural. But if you think uh, it's me alone doing, so there are people like that who earn money but they don't share with their parents. There are people like that. And then if they are asked why, they said, I am doing all the hard work. What are my parents doing? They're not doing anything. Why should I share? It's my money after all. Hmm. So, like that, a conditioned soul also starts thinking, my efforts, my result. It's mine. Why should I share with Krishna? Why should I share with society? Why should I give charity? Why should I use it for someone else's benefit? It's all mine. So, my money. So, therefore, I should have, the best thing which I can buy from that money. It's all mine, nothing for anyone else. So, Krishna wants to kind of remove that cloud. Therefore, he's teaching here. You're not the doer alone, Arjuna. There are things which are helping you. You should understand. You're not alone. Material nature is supporting you. Supreme Lord is helping you. That's why you're able to do something. So don't be a miser. Don't be a miser. Don't be a kripanaha. You know, you should work in the spirit of Nishkam Bhav. This knowledge will help in developing that mentality. Okay. Sarvakarmani manasa sanyasya sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi neva kurvanna karayan. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of nine gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. So this is that state of mind when you are completely detached. Then you don't think yourself as a doer. But when you are not detached, you do think yourself as a doer. Okay, you do think yourself as a doer. Purport. Aladini Gopimadhi.
The embodied soul lives in the city of nine gates. The activities of the body or the figurative city of body are conducted automatically by its particular modes of nature. The soul, although subjecting himself to the conditions of the body, can be beyond those conditions if so desires. Owing only to forgetfulness of his superior nature, he identifies with the material body and therefore suffers. By Krishna consciousness, he can revive his real position and thus come out of his embodiment. Therefore, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, one at once becomes completely aloof from bodily activities. In such a controlled life, in which his deliberations are changed, he lives happily within the city of nine gates. The nine gates are mentioned as follows. नवद्वारा पुरे देहि हंसो लेलयते बहि वासी सर्वस्य लोकस्य स्थावरस्य चरस्य च. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is living within the body of a living entity, is the controller of all living entities all over the universe. The body consists of nine gates: two eyes, two nostrils, two ears, one mouth, the anus, the genitals. The living entity in this conditioned stage identifies himself with the body. But when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just as free as the Lord, even while in the body. Vatara Upanishad 3.18. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is free from both the outer and inner activities of the material body. Thank you, guys.
Okay, last verse for today, 14. Na kartritvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu karma phala sanyogam svabhavastu pravartate. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Sarveshwar Jagannath Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat. The living entity, as will be explained in the seventh chapter, is one of the energies or nature of the Supreme Lord, but is distinct from the matter, which is another nature called inferior of the Lord. Somehow, the superior nature, the living entity, has been in contact with the material nature since time immemorial. The temporary body or memory or material dwelling place which we obtain is the cause of varieties of activities and the resultant reactions. Living in such a conditional atmosphere, one suffers the result of the activities of the body by identifying himself in ignorance with the body. It is the ignorance acquired from time immemorial that is the cause of bodily suffering and distress. As soon as the living entity becomes aloof from the activities of the body, he becomes free from the reactions as well. As long as he is the city of the body, he appears to be the master of it, but actually he is neither its proprietor nor controller of its actions and the reactions. He is simply in the midst of material ocean, struggling for existence. The waves of oceans are tossing him, and he has no control over them. His best solution is to get out of the water by transcendental Krishna consciousness. That alone will save him from all turmoil. Hare Krishna.
Okay, we stop here. Any questions or comments? If you have, you please raise your hand first, then you can ask. Yes, Sri Lakshmi Mataji.
Prabhuji, why was this whole body gates is discussed here? Just single detail related to Hatha Yoga probably, right? Like why, what's the connection?
Well, Srila Prabhupada is just explaining how this body is referred to as a city, right? In the uh, this is sometimes in the Vedic scriptures, there is a certain way of uh, talking about something or explaining something. So many times in many places, the body is referred to as a city with 9 gates. It's like, what is a city? A city is a place where you live, isn't it? And that city has inlet and outlet. So, uh, for the soul, what is body? It is a residential place. So it is one kind of a city for the soul, because the soul is the person living and the body is the place where the soul is living. So just like there is a city with gates where things come and go, similarly, then this body is also a city with gates. Mm. And then if you are living in a city, or let's say you are living in a fort, so you will make sure that only those things they enter the fort that are friendly to you, not inimical to you. So in that way also it is explained that because you are living in this body, these are the 9 gates. So you should not let those things enter the system which are harmful to you through these gates. So you should not see the wrong thing, you should not hear the wrong thing, you should not eat the wrong thing, right?
Yes, Prabhuji, makes sense.
Okay, Aladani Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Bhakti Prabhu. Prabhuji, when we say that, when we achieve things in our life and we usually thank Krishna, and like you said that, we know we can't do this individually, it is Krishna's mercy and he's supporting us. But what is the role of then three modes of material nature here, Prabhu?
Uh, 3 modes of material nature are also helping us doing things. Without 3 modes of material nature, how would I? Like, for example, what is 3 modes of material nature? Prakriti. So everything is Prakriti. Now, for example, you are sitting behind your screen and you're talking, and your voice is coming to me. What is helping you?
My phone, Prabhuji.
What is that phone? Prakriti, right?
Materialistic object, yes. Yes, yes.
Prakriti.
Right.
So that Prakriti is helping you achieve your objective of sending your message across to me.
Right.
In that way, everything I'm doing in this world, I can't do without the help of Prakriti. In fact, this body itself through which I am making the sound to communicate myself, that is itself a Prakriti.
Right. So, Prabhu, when we have to thank, we should thank both or just Krishna?
No, you don't have to thank Prakriti because Prakriti is coming from Krishna. So you understand that its connection is to Krishna as well. But you
Right.
understand that you are dependent on Prakriti also,
Mm-hmm.
as it is Krishna's energy and it is helping you. So that's one thing. Second thing is that there's another way of looking at it. When one becomes situated on the platform of soul, then that person sees the Prakriti acting and not he or she acting.
Okay. Right. 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 Right, Prabhu.
So, uh, who is sleeping? The body is sleeping. Why is the body sleeping? Who is controlling the body? The Prakriti is controlling. That person disconnects oneself from those activities of the body and gives the credit of those activities to material nature. The material nature is doing, not me.
Prabhuji, how do we constantly remind ourselves
We don't have
this
to
is not
remind all
easy?
these things to ourselves. This is just way of explaining the stuff to uh, a person who is on the path of yoga. Krishna is kind of helping Arjuna understand that how a yogi thinks. We don't have to think like that. We can just be Krishna conscious, and that will be sufficient for us.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji,
Just a second, Prabhu. I'll come to you. Shweta Mataji.
Prabhuji, my question first is that you said about Prakriti, we are dependent on Prakriti. But Prabhuji, if we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then we are not under the Maya, we are under the Yog Maya. Then Yog Maya means Radharani will protect us. Then
Yeah.
how Prakriti will take the hold?
But then, are you in functioning under Yoga Maya? No,
So for,
right? At present, you are not, isn't it?
so for that we should chant 16 rounds daily, or
Just by chanting 60 rounds, do you think you'll be functioning under Yoga Maya?
means we have to become a pure devotee, then only it is possible.
See, we functioning under Yoga Maya means what? You have completely lost your material identification. You are completely situated in pure knowledge. Then Yoga Maya is going to function upon us. Until unless we are at that state of consciousness, we are, you can say, in between. You are neither here nor there. It's just like you start from one port and you are sailing through the sea. Till you reach the other port, you are still in the water, right? So our state is something like that.
Okay. And Prabhuji, last
When you
question
are in
is,
the journey, how can you assume that you have reached the destination? Still in the journey.
but Prabhuji, like we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. So we are calling Radharani every time.
Yeah, you're calling Radharani every time, that is true. But then it also depends on the sincerity, the intensity, the purity of our call. We are calling definitely, but at the same time, it depends on the purity of that call. So that calling is not going in vain. It is helping us. You have already started the journey. That means you have already covered some distance. But because I have covered some distance, that doesn't mean I've covered the entire distance, right? That means what? I have to be on the journey and still do the things which I am supposed to do. So eventually, one day you will be in the state of liberation. fully working under the direction of Yoga Maya. Before that, we cannot say I'm there. We can only say that I'm in between. I'm halfway through. I'm 20% true. I'm 10% true. I'm 2% true. I'm 80% true.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yes, Sankarshan Vishnu Prabhu.
My question is from chapter 4.10. List the 8 steps from Shraddha to Prem. And Nishta and Ruchi, they are the same or different?
No, it's not same. If it's same, why would
Then
there be two different stages?
if we consider Nishta and Ruchi different, then they are coming 9.
There are 9 only.
No, the question is list the 8 steps from Shraddha to Prem.
So from Shraddha, when it says 8 steps, that means you don't include Shraddha.
Then it will be 7.
You're not understanding, Prabhuji. It's
Shraddha
like
is not
8 steps from Shraddha. So you start from Shraddha, keeping Shraddha as 0. Okay?
0. Okay,
Then what is
right.
the next? Sadhu
Right.
Sangha.
Sadhu Sang, Bhajan Kriya, Anativeti, Nishtha, and Prema, Nishtha, Ruchi, another one, Akasti and Bhav Prem. That's
So
right.
then Prem
Okay,
becomes 8th, no? So it's just the
Prem
way
becomes
the question is put.
Shraddha is 0. Right. Shraddha is 0. Right, Prabhu.
If there are 9 stages, then the steps will be 8 only, isn't it? Because from the first stage to the second stage, how many steps? 1 step.
Achha. Right.
Right? So it's just actually
Achha.
the problem with the
I
language.
got the point.
All right.
Okay, I got it.
So we stop here. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.